enter a kind of new phase in this course on mass transfer. So far, the thrust was to understand the concepts and get the fundamental approach right. As I said earlier, we will have more accent on problem solving, and in addition, now we'll try to go in two steps. First, through an example of design of a mass transfer operation and equipment as exemplified by gas absorption. And I would introduce next, after the lectures related to design, an entirely new topic, which is basically to take care of what I have often been talking about, and that is the mathematical modeling. In some sense, you might call this the reverse approach, that we are looking at design first and then mathematical modeling. In practice, it would be the other way around. You would do lots of experiments, then develop the understanding of basic science to a level where you could write equations and then solve them, and that would constitute mathematical modeling. Those models will have to be validated against carefully measured experimental data. Only when we are sure that the model is adequate could we possibly use for analysis and design and scale up. That would be the normal sequence. However, I may light-heartedly call these two next phases as design of a packed tower, and as you would understand, packed towers have been used from the very beginning of chemical engineering, even before chemical engineering as a curriculum was first proposed. The chemical engineers were preceded by teams of mechanical engineers and chemists. I might have remarked on that earlier. And the chemical processes on large scale were designed even before formally the courses on chemical engineering came up. So packed bed is a well studied subject, and it is well practiced in reality. While for mathematical modeling, I would take up a new kind of gas liquid reactor, which has yet not found large scale application in practice, but which has a lot of potential. So in some sense, you might say that these two next phases will be dubbed as design of a dead horse against mathematical modeling of a unicorn, a creature which is yet to come into practice. So we begin with gas absorption and design of a packed tower. Very briefly, we may quickly take a recap of the fact that mass transfer coefficients are of relevance in practice, not just for the reason that we don't have an alternative. As I said earlier, if you were to take care of the coupled transport phenomena with complete understanding of hydrodynamics, we would not any longer need mass transfer coefficients. But we are far from that right now. So we do need the expedients of mass transfer coefficients, and the design approaches and data collected serve us well because it is possible to understand the entire design in a succinct manner. So we have a better grasp of what's happening. So analytical description of large scale separation processes like gas absorption and liquid-liquid extraction is possible with the help of mass transfer coefficients. I have already talked about absorption of SO2 or ammonia from air in water. We could describe that in terms of mass transfer coefficient. It could be extraction of waxes from lubricating oils, or the example of leaching of copper from low grade ores and so on. The first step in any design would be to first look at least one exemplary industrial process or operation. So here we take a look at this lime gypsum method for absorption of sulfur dioxide. We could take an instance, for example, an electric power plant, Kansai Electric Power Company from Japan, had practiced gas absorption at this scale, 9 to 10 tons per GWH of power. with about 1% of sulfur in fuel. And typically, you would appreciate that sulfur dioxide cannot be let out in air at a minimum of about 4 parts per million. The exhaust gas from a typical mid-sized power plant would emit about 4000 ppm. So, you have to bring down the concentration of SO2 by up to 3 orders of magnitude. Okay. So, here is the process. You take calcium carbonate, slurry in water and absorb sulfur dioxide in it. It produces CaSO3 half H2O with release of CO2, and then there is an oxidation step. This goes into gypsum, calcium sulfate dihydrate. Gypsum is used in making cement, other building materials, and for improvement of soil quality. What gypsum does in cement is the concrete is made to set slower. That might help in gain of strength. It might also help in special product development like aerated concrete. Aerated concrete is a puffed up version of cement and sand or fly ash, and large blocks of aerated concrete could be made as a lining for buildings. They are poor conductors of heat. So, that means if you have a building, the cost of air conditioning would be reduced by reducing the heat losses. In addition, it offers you one more advantage: it absorbs sound. So, soundproofing is also possible with aerated concrete. But that is not our focus today. Our focus is the absorption of SO2. Now, here what we have is a typical scenario. The gas absorption is accompanied by chemical reaction, and the chemical reaction enhances mass transfer. Okay. So, we have the possibility that the chemical reaction causing enhancement of mass transfer may have to be accounted for, but to keep things simple, we will look at a case where the situation is relatively easier to handle, because when you consider design of a pack tower, you will realize that the situation could very well be that you get lost in individual trees and lose sight of the forest. So, you have to have a bigger perspective, you have to have overall view of design, and you will see why that happens, because at every level there are multiple possibilities, and here the theme recurs around 3. So, we will take this up now. So, we will first focus on the design for absorption without chemical reaction, okay, for pack tower. Later, we will switch gears when it comes to mathematical modeling. We will not only take a much harder reactor to conceptualize or understand, we also add the complexity of chemical reaction. So, you get a glimpse of what the full scale complexity of chemical engineering equipment could be. So, you get the idea about design of simpler systems and mathematical modeling of more complex situations. Okay. So, let us begin with gas absorption. So, mass transfer questions we had seen tell us how fast these separations occur, and therefore, they take us a step beyond thermodynamics, which means thermodynamics which concerns about itself about equilibrium. The kinetic considerations take us further, and they give an idea about how much time would be required in order to achieve a given specified separation. It is a lucky situation that mass transfer questions are accurate enough to even describe large scale separation operations. Okay. So, here again I am gradually taking you through the complexity level. Please remember that when we talk about mass transfer questions, we have lumped a lot of our ignorance into a single parameter, and therefore, we save ourselves from the complexity of committing ourselves to detailed mechanisms. Okay. Convection, diffusion, everything is rolled into one mass transfer question, and then we do not worry about the the details of the process. So it is in tune with requirement of practice that design engineers need not concern themselves with the high level of mathematical modeling, but as researchers we got to understand in detail whatever we are doing. So this is the kind of approach we are going to have. We will stick to master answer questions and we will focus on understanding in simplest possible manner what happens. Now it comes to a choice about how we design a gas absorption for use in practice. As I said earlier, in order to understand the concepts and the approach of design, it would still be advisable to take a simpler situation. And the simpler situation we are going to handle, and which will be the basis for the next complexity, will be a consideration of dilute vapor. At 4000 ppm of SO2 in air, we still will be able to treat it as a dilute vapor system. However, if say 50 mole % of the gas stream is absorbed in some process, that would no longer be a dilute vapor case or dilute solute case. That gas absorption equipment design would be a different ball game. But if we understand the dilute vapor case, we should be able to have a transition to that more practical and general case. In turn, the analysis for the concentrated vapor cases should be able to see dilute vapor case as a special case. That's a confirmation, in a way, deductive confirmation that what we done for dilute vapor case correct. Okay. This operation of absorption is also known as gas washing or scrubbing in practice. Chemical engineers in practice might be calling it gas washing or scrubbing. And the equipment which is used is typically a pack tower. Yeah, just wait a minute. I will show you how to do it. Okay. So I could show you a diagram and then come to the description. This is how a pack tower will look. Okay. Don't worry about the details. Just that there is a tall column and there are packings. We have two sections, one pack section here, another pack section here. The gas mixture is introduced at the bottom and it moves up. So it enters here, leaves here. The liquid which is used to absorb gas is introduced from the top and it comes down by gravity, it gets accumulated here and then removed. So typically we have the packings, we have the gas moving through the packings, and we have a liquid flowing down in counter current fashion. Okay, we will come to the details later. This is only to satisfy your curiosity as to what pack tower is meant, so that these words make a greater sense to you. So the pack tower is nothing but a piece of pipe set on one of its ends and filled with some inert material we call tower packings. Okay. The liquid is poured from the top, it trickles down over the packing by action of gravity. Gas is pumped into the bottom of the pack tower and flows counter currently in relation to the liquid which is flowing down. And we establish an intimate contact between gas and liquid so that the solute gas or vapor that we want to remove can be absorbed efficiently into the liquid. Okay. Now that's broadly what a pack tower is and what a counter current gas absorption operation will look like. Now let's see little more into this figure. The first question which may come to your mind is, why is it that we have shown the packing in two sections? And let's see one more detail. The liquid comes in with a liquid distributor at the end of this inlet pipe. The liquid distributor may be a plate with holes in it at a certain pitch, and the liquid is distributed uniformly over the packing. But between the packing and this liquid distributor, you see this wavy line indicating that we have a packing restrainer. As the title would suggest, this is to restrain the packing. Suppose for instance, somehow the gas flow shoots up drastically, which should not happen. We won't be blowing out the packings along with the gas. So, to restrain the packings from carry or entrainment with gas or even a change in the pack structure, we have the restrainer. So, this would be tightly, snugly fitting against this pack section. And we have shown the second part, so there is a redistributor. The question is, why do we require these two parts? We have now two liquid redistributors. We will have two packed sections. Why do we require these? The question would be answered in relation to how packings behave. Now, this is something which you might want to try in laboratory sometime, especially when you are going to do some experiments on mass transfer next semester. The question is, we can ask this question: what if I had this entire section, the sum of these heights H1 and H2 as one section, and I have a distributor, liquid distributor here? I won't need a liquid redistributor. Why do I have then these two subsections? It turns out, and this has been confirmed by careful experimental measurements of porosity across cross section. It turns out that the porosity of the packing is not uniform. So, it is here that I can ask you a question and see what kind of responses you would have. Okay, the question is then, I had a tall packed tower, single section. I have uniformly distributed liquid here, and let's say this liquid is colored red and the packings are made of glass, just for example, so that I have transparency here. That red liquid solution would flow down through this packing. What would you expect to see along the sides? Along the sides, that exactly happens. The porosity for some reason is higher at the walls, and the liquid will follow, a fluid in general will follow a path of least resistance. If the porosity is higher here, resistance will be lower, so liquid will tend to go along the periphery, leaving the core dry. Okay, and that would mean an inefficient use of the equipment. Another fundamental question which could come to your mind is, why do we have packings? The packings would offer the possibility that the gas liquid contact is as high as possible. Okay. For that, we will require the liquid to wet the surface of the packings. So, the packings will have to have such a surface that if it is aqueous solution, then the surface must be hydrophilic and the contact angle should be 0 throughout. So, in that case, except for the packings where they meet together, most of the external or geometrical area will be available for forming a thin liquid film which wets the whole solid, and then between packings the gas stream will subdivide. So, the contact between gas and liquid will be highest possible in this fashion, and to maximize that you need wetting of the surface of packing by the liquid. Okay. The redistributor takes care of the fact that even though we have a shorter section, some maldistribution might have set in. Although all of it is going to be colored, maybe it will be deeper near the periphery, and so we need to redistribute this liquid. So, we have the next section with a liquid redistributor. This is all about the packed bed contactor or packed tower. Now, let us see what all different steps are there in design of a packed tower. The overall three major steps involve sizing of the process, which means to quantify how large a process it is. How large is gas absorption process, which means we need to set up the overall mole balances. So, the overall mole balance will have to be at the tower level, at the packed tower level, and it will have to be a balance over the solute between gas and liquid. So, you could think of enclosing this whole thing into a control volume, and you see how much gas is entering and leaving and with what concentrations, inlet and outlet, and how much liquid is entering and leaving and with what concentrations. So, if we know the molar flow rates of the gas and liquid, we will be able to say we know quantitatively the size of the process. What is going to happen in practice? From that Kansai power plant, for instance, we will get a gas with a certain concentration of SO2. So the total molar flow rate of gas, the exhaust gas there, exhaust air from the combustion, with whatever SO2 content here like 4000 ppm, that will be known to you. You could use a solvent, suppose you use only water and it is pure water at the top, we might decide at what concentration the liquid might leave, so that the driving force available on the average is not very low. So if you decide what liquid exit concentration of SO2 will be, you would be able to calculate how much is the liquid flow rate. To effect the concentration change in the known flow rate of gas by a practicable average driving force, how much liquid molar flow rate you will require, that answer will be given by the overall mole balance. That is what I call sizing up the whole process. So you have an idea what is the magnitude of total flow rates involved. Having known that, now next thing will be the details about this tower. What is the cross section of the tower? How fat a packed tower we are going to use, and how tall a packed tower we will use for that separation. Those are the other steps which constitute the overall design of a packed tower. Now it turns out, and maybe I can spend a few minutes here to repeat one of the questions I remember I had asked this. Imagine that we have a certain liquid flow rate here. This can be done in a laboratory. You have a small packed tower with known cross sectional area and height, and you have packings. And let's say you start with certain flow rate of liquid which trickles down this and comes out. And here at this end, instead of actual gas separation, you introduce air whose flow rate could be increased. It comes here and goes out here. So at this counter current operation of water flowing down and air moving up, and for a fixed flow rate of liquid, what would happen if you continuously increase the air flow rate? Liquid flow rate, which is coming out of here, would reduce. If you continue to increase the gas flow rate, liquid flow rate will reduce further. Continue. The drag exerted by air on the water which is flowing down may be so high that the water can not flow down any longer. It will start accumulating here. Okay. Eventually the whole column will get flooded. So instead of a packed tower, you would now convert that into a packed bubble column maybe. It's a very, very undesirable operation. You won't want to do this. Okay. Now in this simple thought experiment, we had two important points, and they are practical. If you continue monitoring the influence of gas flow rate on liquid flow rate, and you identify at what flow rate the liquid flow rate starts diminishing, that is called a loading point. Okay. And the gas flow rate or air flow rate at which the liquid will stop flowing down, will start accumulating inside, that is the flooding point. So you have loading point, which is beginning of trouble, flooding point is disaster. You have to avoid both by a safe margin. That's the next question. How do we decide where loading will happen, where flooding will happen, and how do we design the packed tower? Okay. That's the reason we need to do those experiments in laboratory with different sized packed towers, and then use what I told you earlier, create a design chart which then could be used by anybody. So that answer can be found experimentally, and it is given in a generalized form as a design chart, which we'll come to shortly. And it obviously has to be packed with information so that we can design any packed tower for whatever gas liquid system we have at hand. Okay. So that may not be possible to predict theoretically, but we have quantified, we have those design charts, and we can read off the values from there. We'll look at the problems also based on that. when the air flow rate is very low, gas flow rate is very low, there won't be any change in the liquid because the drag is negligible. Yeah. So, like everything, when we say that it is going to be showing its effect, it will depend on how accurately can you measure the change in liquid flow rate, isn't it? That may be reminiscent of your boundary layer, because this effect is going to be, if the gas flow rate is increased continuously, the effect on the liquid flow rate will also be continuously felt. So, one could take some measurable criterion, something like 1% reduction in liquid flow rate maybe. That is unimportant. Once we have the loading point and flooding point, you would see that 1% which I committed here doesn't have to be 1%, because the engineering design uses one great deal of flexibility which is for safety. Certain thumb rules are used, safety factors are used, which are so large compared to the 1 or 2% we are talking of, that it would not matter. Okay. So, does that answer that question? The next one is, yeah. So, look at here, the loading or flooding points we talked about, they have come about because of the drag exerted by air on water or gas on liquid. So, the consideration is fluid mechanical, it is a fluid dynamics, it does not have anything to do with the mass transfer. So, the cross sectional area of the tower, packed tower, is decided by factors other than mass transfer. It is the fluid dynamics. The tower height in contrast will be dictating the time of phase contact. How long is the contact between the gas and liquid, that will be decided by how tall this column is. Okay. That will depend on mass transfer. Mass transfer coefficients will come into picture. So, time of phase contact will be decided by the mass transfer coefficients. Okay. So, these are the first three broad steps: overall mole balances or overall size of the process, tower cross section area, and then height of the tower. Okay. Keep this in mind. Within these there are many aspects. So, we will look into those now. So, the first step is dictated by the mass balances, the second step by fluid dynamics, the third one is described by mass transfer coefficients or mass transfer. Now, about the mole balances, this is the simplest one. We could consider for the tower scale control volume, this balance, solute entering with the gas stream minus leaving. So, this is the molar flow rate of solute entering at the bottom, and this is what is leaving at the top. This is what is lost by the gas. That was our purpose, to remove the solute from the gas phase. That would be gained by the liquid, and the liquid will be richer at the bottom when it has absorbed solute like SO2, and it enters either pure or at a low concentration if it is recycled liquid. So, the solute leaving with liquid stream minus solute entering in the liquid stream, this is what will complete the balance. What is lost by the gas is what is gained by the liquid. Okay. So, we could think of Z being measured from the bottom of the tower, and at some height Z we take a differential section of this tower with height delta Z. We will look at the balance which is differential balance here, and another balance which is at the tower scale. So, let us first look at the balance at the scale of the packed tower. We need some notations now. By capital G, we describe molar flux of gas. Capital G is molar flux of gas. Capital A is the cross sectional area. Capital G is molar flux of gas. Capital A is cross sectional area of the tower. Capital L is the liquid molar flux. Capital L is molar flux times A. LA will be molar flow rate. GA is the molar flow rate of gas. LA is the molar flow rate of liquid. Entering gas phase mole fraction of solute is yn, and the gas leaves at y out. So, this is the change in mole fraction which has occurred between the entry and exit for the gas phase. So, this is the total amount of solute lost by the gas, and this is x out is the mole fraction in liquid, which is living at the bottom, Xn may be 0 or whatever initial concentration. So this is the gain of solute by the liquid. In the actual problem, we will be given GA, the total gas flow rate, that is what comes out of the plant. They could give you this. They would tell you what Yn is, and the pollution control board will tell you what Y out can be. It should not exceed a certain concentration. Okay. So these are part of your specifications. You may choose a pure solvent, so Xn is 0, or if it is recycled, then some value of Xn you will know, and you would probably decide what maximum concentration your liquid, outgoing liquid, should have, such that we have a reasonable driving force throughout the column. So if these quantities are known and you choose these, you will be able to calculate the molar flow rate of liquid or the solvent. At this stage, we do not know the components of Ga and La. We know their values, but we don't know what G is and what L is in terms of numerical magnitude, because we have not decided upon the area yet. Okay. So this is the overall mole balances, and we should be able to figure out the molar flow rate of the solvent from here. Okay. We choose Xn is, let's say, 0 or whatever. X out, I said we choose such that we expect a reasonable average driving force within the column. No, we just choose. Okay. Or in a exam problem, X out may be figured out or given to you, or you will have to calculate. But that is possible if you have either this known, okay, or you choose this and then find that out, right? Okay. See, the larger the value of X out, closer are you going to approach equilibrium. Okay. And equilibrium means slowing down of everything. The driving forces become very small. So you want to keep a reasonably rapid process. Otherwise, what happens is you may have an unreasonably tall tower, most of it being effectively unfunctional. Okay. So we will choose X out such that we have some acceptable driving force. Now comes the tower cross sectional area. This is the second important part, and as I said, it will be dictated by the drag of gas on liquid and fluid dynamics basically. But there, in practice, we have to consider what kind of packings we use and what is the nature of fluid flow. Those are the two aspects which will come into picture while we consider the evaluation of tower cross sectional area. As we already summed up, the packing is to provide a large contact area between gas and liquid, and therefore it should be chemically inert, should not react with the liquid. Flows of gas and liquid should be as smooth, as easy as possible, so the resistance to flow of the fluid should be minimum. And because the packed towers are tall equipment, the packing should be relatively inexpensive. Okay. So the cost of packing should be low, packing should be chemically inert and offer minimum resistance to the flow. The common packings which are used are shown here. We have Raschig rings, we have Burl saddles, then we have a lacing ring. A Raschig ring with a partition in between is a lacing ring, and then we have Paul rings where we have cutouts of this bent inward. All this is to try and increase the area of the packing as much as possible. So the type of packing, and there are more. Tellurides are like wound up ribbons, and then there are structured packings which are used industrially. So different kinds of packings could be met with in practice. These are random packings. In packed tower you would use random packings rather than stacked packings like redwood slats used in cooling towers. You might have seen passing by some of the chemical plants large structures which are in the shape of an hourglass. Those are cooling towers, because processed water which is hot has to be cooled down, so use those tall cooling towers. They don't use random packing, they use rather stacked packings like the wooden slats. Random packings are like this. You take large numbers of them and just put them. Okay. In the stack packings, you will have certain regular arrangement of wooden slats crossing each other, right? Okay. I already mentioned the problems related to loading and flooding. Loading is the onset of trouble where the liquids start slowing down because of the drag exerted by gas, and flooding is where liquid is unable to flow down. And in a sense, we also have talked about channeling, but that was channeling along the periphery. You might have within the core also certain passages taken which are of lower resistance. So liquid tends to flow down the paths of less resistance, leaving the packings in the large resistance area unweighted. So that problem is channeling. I already explained this to you now. When channeling happens, then because the area goes down, we will have inefficient mass transfer. Loading is explained to you, flooding is explained to you. How channeling is minimized? That is where you get those variety of packings. It will depend on packings. What you're trying to tell is that if you admit some amount of loading, it might be better. Is that what you want to say? You will have to take your pack tower to moon. Gravity will be operational, right? So as long as you dump that amount of liquid there, it will all depend on gravity and the resistances you have, right? So in order to maximize the contact and avoid channeling, you require these various kinds of packings. So in a tall cooling tower, this problem is minimal, because now the task is removal of heat from the hot water, and as efficient mass transfer is not needed because there is heat and mass transfer happening simultaneously. So the wooden slats are used in the cooling tower, not the random packing. We can't use the stack packings in a packed tower for gas absorption. And then within the gas absorption, depending on what kind of packings we use, you will have different levels of channeling problem. And these are only typical. The industrial packings, I would like you to search a little bit on your own. There is a structure. There is a structure to the packings. The structured packings are most efficient, and therefore in refineries and other large scale chemical plants, you would be using structured packings. I will answer that last question in passing, and then we'll return to that point in the next lecture. How do we decide flooding? So here is the chart. On y-axis, we have specific area, meter square per meter cube, and on x-axis, we have the packing size. And you see from 1 millimeter to a meter. You have a log scale here, log scale. The areas are up to in excess of about 3000 meter square per meter cube. And you see those straight lines, the straight lines here indicate the specific area as it depends on the packing size. This is more or less geometrical, but instead of calculating again and again, you could make use of this chart, and once you choose the packing size, then you will be able to tell what is the specific area. And then there is a curve at the top here, this curve. This is called a flooding curve. Abscissa of our flooding curve is one at the top here, and you see that is L prime by G prime into square root of rho G by rho L. L prime and G prime against L and G used earlier are mass fluxes, not molar fluxes. Because when you deal with fluid dynamics, it will be the mass flow rates which are important, not the molar flow rates. On the ordinate to the right, you see G prime square into mu L to the power 0.1 by rho G rho L. that G prime is again the mass flux for gas. And since the curve is flooding curve, it means if you take any point on this curve, it ensures flooding. Okay. So if from the given molar flow rates of gas and liquid that you calculated, you calculate the mass fluxes, from here you should be able to identify the flooding point. This is the curve you construct from your experiments. We'll stop here and resume from here next.